We've all been there. Boring, repetitive combat where you swing and, I don't know, swing again. So, what can you do to build edge of your seat excitement into every encounter, no matter which side of the screen you're on? The short answer is watch a bunch of movies. But stick around and we'll go in depth into how to drive a dagger between the ribs of boring encounters. When it comes to making your character feel real and exciting, how you roleplay combat is just as important as how you handle social encounters. So, how do you actually make combat roleplay exciting? You learn a new language, descriptive action. Think of descriptive action as the language of describing action scenes. What's the best way to learn a new language? You jump right in. So what you're going to do is expose yourself to as much action as you can. Increase your action library, as it were. Sit down and think about all of the action media that gets you excited. Movies, books, TV show, comics. Get as many of those scenes as you can together. Make a list of them. And then sit down and figure out what all of those action scenes have in common. What about that kind of action excites you? What are the commonalities, the common threads? Is it a very skilled professional making their way through a horde of unskilled adversaries? Is it, an unlikely team of misfits coming together to overcome insurmountable odds? Is it matched equals doing battle at the pinnacle of their skill? Figure out what it is about the action scenes that you like that runs through all of them. What's the common thread there? Answering that question will help you understand what excites you personally about action, what gets your motor running. So now that you've got this list of action scenes that you get excited about, that you know you care about, that you know get your blood pumping when it comes to action, it's time for some homework. I know, nobody likes homework, but luckily, this is pretty easy. All you got to do is watch your favorite action scenes, read your favorite action scenes. However you get your action, go back to your favorites, that list we just made. Go back to that and write descriptive action in your own words for the scenes that excite you. For all of these scenes. Doesn't matter if it's a quick little thing or a big long thing. What you're trying to do is work the muscle here. Now, put that list away. Come back to it the next day. Take a look at it. Reread what you wrote. Does it excite you or does it fall a little flat? If it excites you, that's fantastic. Then you're already kind of tuned into what you're looking for out of action. Now, if it doesn't excite you, that's not the end of the world. That's actually a good piece of information for us because now we know one more thing that doesn't do it for you. Go back, rewrite these, come back a little later, and repeat the process until you've got all of your favorite action scenes rewritten in your own words. So here's a couple of examples of descriptive action that I've written about some of my favorite movie scenes. With one guard pinned beneath him, the agent quickly and efficiently dispatched the two approaching guards before eliminating the one pinned below his knee with a single bloody shot to the temple. Another example. As he leapt through the air, the officer emptied both clips, unleashing a hellfire on the corrupt chief and bringing about an end to his reign of terror. Now you can see with both of these, they've got extremely different personalities, extremely different feelings. And I'm guessing you were probably able to figure out which movies I was describing. Very different characters. So you can see how important descriptive action is when it comes to making your character feel unique and alive. That first example used really tight, precise, almost report-like language, but it was also describing some visceral violence. Whereas the second one used big, explosive, bold language, inaccurate firearm terms, and reckless abandon. And they gave the characters extremely different feelings, extremely different textures in the same amount of space. So let's get into how you can build a descriptive action toolbox for all of your characters. The first thing you're going to do is think about the character you're building this for. How do they interact with the world? Get a picture of them and how they do that in your mind. If you're playing that seasoned professional killer, you're going to want to use cold, precise, strict language, but you're also going to want to very effectively describe your violence, because that's going to give you a nice juxtaposition between the inherent emotionality of violence and the way it's being portrayed by your character as what is to be done. If you're playing the action star, on the other hand, you're going to want to use big, bold, explosive language. Lean into it. You want to establish that screen presence of an action star. So lean into it. If you know your gun terms, get them wrong with this guy, because that's true to the action star ethos. These are just a few examples of action styles, but there's literally an unlimited amount of inspiration out there for action styles. Just watch new movies and get inspired. It's that easy to come up with a new reason to build a character. Now that you know the kind of character you're going to be playing, you can start to build the descriptive action toolbox you'll be using for them. That toolbox is going to have 3 parts to it: the antecedent, the action, and the impact. The antecedent is what happens before, what your character is doing to get into position, or what leads up to the action. From the example earlier, he dove through the air is the antecedent. Now, the action is the main thrust of what you're rolling the dice for, the thing you're trying to do. From the example earlier, he unloaded both clips, unleashing a hail of gunfire, is the action. It's, like I said, the reason you're rolling the dice this turn. The impact is exactly what it sounds like, the impact of your action. From the example earlier, he ended the corrupt chief's reign of terror, is the impact of that statement. So again, we've got the 3 parts to your toolbox: the antecedent, or what comes before; the action, what you're actually trying to do; and the impact, what you were able to accomplish with your action. Now that you know what each of the 3 parts you need are and what each of them does, we can start building the descriptive action toolbox for your character. For the antecedent, you're going to want to build about half a dozen, maybe a dozen short sentence fragments or ideas, how your character gets into position or starts things. So let's go through this and build a couple of options for us for the action hero example we've been working with so far. Remember, we're looking for big, bold, explosive language here. We want stuff that jumps off of the screen. Here's some examples I've written. Dove headfirst into, ran headlong toward the danger, threw himself between the victim and the attacker, burst through the door, weapon drawn, ripped the door off the hinges, leapt towards the villain. These don't have to be complete sentences. These are just ideas for how your character gets into position or starts something. Remember, combat is a fantastic opportunity for you to really give your character some personality, especially if you're not into role-playing. If social encounters and role-play aren't your thing, descriptive action is going to be a very powerful tool for you to make your character feel a lot more real and a lot more connected to the world they're participating in. So make sure you're using language that really evokes the character that you're trying to convey here. This is really going to depend on how they fight, how they interact with the world. So this is worth spending some time on. This is worth putting the effort into thinking about, how does your character swing their sword? How do they, flip their wand? How do they do the things they do? What makes them uniquely them on the battlefield? And more specifically, how can you bring that to life at the table? So let's get into the action. Let's build some action examples for our action hero. Unleashed a hail of gunfire. Pummeled the bad guy's face. Drove the attacker to the ground, pinning him. Found the calm in the heat of battle and lined up the perfect shot. Drove their heel into the solar plexus of the adversary. Lifted them off the ground by their throat. Again, we're building pieces. We're building parts that we're going to be able to reach into the box and use during combat so that no matter what our character is doing, we can effectively and quickly describe it. So the more pieces you have for this, the more ways you have to describe what your character is doing and how they're doing it, the better you're going to be. The more effectively you'll be able to give your character personality on the battlefield. Now, let's build some impact statements. Remember, this is what effect your action had. So you really, really don't want to build any of these statements until you know the dice roll, until you know if you succeeded or failed. That being said, you can still use this same methodology for describing failures, and it's going to give those failures just as much personality, just as much impact as the successes. And to me, that's where really meaty and good roleplay comes in, is leaning into those 3s and 4s, and especially leaning into the 1s. So here's some examples of impact statements, again, for our big action hero that we've been working on building this tool set for today. Breaking the bad guy's jaw. Filling the merc with lead, sending him to an early grave. Planting a 9mm sheet of justice between their eyes. Driving the attackers into cover. Crushing his windpipe. Never breaking eye contact. Remember, when you're writing these out, you're describing how your character is interacting with the world, how they get the impact that they're looking for. If I use the examples that we've been building here, if I use this toolbox that we've built for the big action hero to describe what the agent character from way back at the beginning of this video is doing, it wouldn't fit. It wouldn't make sense. That would be a very bad juxtaposition of what I'm saying my character is supposed to be doing and how I'm describing what they're actually doing. So it's, again, very, very important to how your character is characterized in the world, how you and the other players and the GM see your character in the world. Combat roleplay is a huge part of that. All right, so now that we've got this descriptive action toolbox for our big action hero, let's reach into it and actually build a couple of examples with the parts that we've established so far. The hero ran headlong towards danger, unleashing a hail of gunfire and driving the bad guys into cover. He burst through the door, weapon drawn, found the calm in the heat of battle, and planted 9mm of justice between his adversary's eyes. She threw herself between the attacker and the exit, blocking them, then started pummeling them, a nasty purple spreading from their eyes as solar plexus shattered. As you can see, it's easy to pick and choose from the different parts bins to make really exciting, really unique descriptive action language. Don't be afraid to modify or tweak the parts you've built to fit the scene better. You can see I did that with, I think, all 3 of those. But don't be afraid to do that. This is a toolbox for you. It's not another rule set to follow. You could definitely make some wonky stuff. You could say that your guy came in and shot somebody with his axe. But you know what? I trust you. I have faith in you. You're better than that. You're smarter than that. So, yeah, this is a really powerful tool, but you do have to use it intentionally. Just don't let it rule you. It's not another rule set. It's a tool for you to really dig into your character, for you to have more fun at the table. So with that in mind, use it however works for you. Now that you've got this descriptive action toolbox and you know how to build it for any of your characters, get out there and use it. That's the best way to refine your process on this, is to use it. Nice thing about it too is that the more you use it, the less you're going to have to use it as a system, because you're building in those neural pathways. You're building in that library of action. You're making it a skill set rather than a tool set that you're using. And that's going to be so rewarding for you at the table. That's going to unlock so many super memorable, exciting, rewarding moments as you role play what's now going to be much more exciting combats. To see how I use this in action, check out Chapter 1 of our Cyberpunk actual play campaign right here. And to see how I make vital, interesting, and exciting characters to roleplay in any situation, check out my video here. Thanks, Thunderleaf fam. We'll catch you next week.